far as I understood, the secure attachment builds in quite an early age, so up to 2 years, something around this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we consider between 12 and 20 months approximately the internal representations of the attachment experience with parents get formed. So yeah, so by 2 years of age, certainly.
Mm-hmm. So once some parent just watched the video, read the book, and realized that three his or her child is 3 years old and he was doing everything wrong, but now he sort of realized that I probably want to change something. Is there is a way to change what was built already in these early ages? What could be done by the parent once somebody realizes that, yes, I did some mistakes and now probably I want to change this? What would be the approach?
Sure. Well, this is a wonderful thing about us as humans, is that it is possible to change. And it's a wonderful thing about attachment representations or attachment status within oneself. That's possible to change too. So of course, as a psychologist, I work with adults who have carried attachment insecurity for many years, sometimes many decades. And we see that it's possible to make changes with that inner attachment pattern. So that's a really good thing. Apart from psychotherapy, it happens quite frequently that a child who may have started with insecure attachment, when the circumstances change in the family, such as, say, a parent or parents realize, as you're asking, that okay, there have been some problems and the child seems to have insecure attachment patterns. So what can I do differently? Or there's just some family structure change that leads to something beneficial, and the child experiences something new, and that just naturalistically can lead to a change from insecure to secure. So that's a very good thing that parents. It's important that they realize that insecurity is not something that it's not a life sentence by any means. Okay. So from your question, whenever a parent has a recognition that maybe there have been some problematic patterns in the caregiving, just try to bring in some non-problematic patterns. Try to, if a parent becomes aware of, say, the 5 conditions that support secure attachment, really pay attention to those and try to bring those into practice. The parent's own attachment status obviously makes a difference. So a parent who has anxious attachment or anxious preoccupied attachment will parent in ways that can promote some insecurity in the child. So if the parent becomes aware of her own patterns, then paying attention to those patterns and trying to work with those is going to also help the child in developing security from initial insecurity. So, for example, with an anxious pattern, if to whatever degree the parent becomes able to be less anxious, that's going to help the child. If a parent who's anxious is very worried about letting the child do something on her own, which anxious parents tend to do, they get too afraid that something harmful will happen to the child. And then they'll tend to limit the free play, or they'll limit the exploration done by the child. If the parent is able to recognize that, then he or she can work really hard to try to be less anxious and encourage the child to play. Okay, not only encourage closeness with the parent, but encourage. Okay, I'm gonna watch, but I'm not going to interfere. While she goes over and plays with her friend over here. I'll be watchful, I'll be careful, but I'm not going to interfere. That's a plus. That's a good thing. A parent who has avoidant attachment will tend to do just the opposite. Will tend to be happiest when the child is off on her own doing something, and maybe will tend to be annoyed or push the child away when the child comes back and wants attention. So if the parent becomes aware of that pattern, that awareness itself can contribute to the parent maybe trying to do that less, like not only encourage free play, but also be welcoming and supportive when the child comes to the parent. And that will also go a long way towards supporting the development or the reinforcement of a more secure experience within the child. So a parent becoming self-aware, of the patterns that may have led to early insecurity in himself or herself, and also in the child. So awareness through reading, through watching videos, through talking with others, and then from that awareness, trying to put those security-enhancing parenting ways into practice. And to realize that, again, 100% is not necessary.